All right, so good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock. I'm happy to get started with you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. I don't know what it's like in Mount Vernon, but the sun is peeking out up here. And so I hope you guys are getting some sun down there as well. Today, we're gonna continue with transformations. So last class, we did reflections. And then we're going to do rotations today. So this is our third type of transformation. We have translations, reflections, and then now rotations. And so this warm up is a little bit of review of those reflections and then a little bit of translation added in as well. Okay. So as always, if you guys have questions, please use the chat to ask questions and or turn on your mic, whatever you're most comfortable with. Okay. Also, make sure, guys, that we're turning in homework. It's 80% of your grade. I really appreciate I'm having more and more people come to my office hours to just work on homework. So I encourage people to do that. I'd love to help you out. Okay, so let's get started with this because we got a busy day today. So the first one we're going to take a look at is this one. We're going to reflect triangle ABC over the line y equals x. Now, if you guys remember from our lesson yesterday, right? Because we don't have graph paper, we're going to use a formula to do this, right? And this isn't something that I expect you to memorize. It's something that you should have in your notes. And the formula in shorthand, remember, if we have a point AB that when we reflect it over y equals x, it's going to switch my x and my y. Right? So this is some x, some y, and this is my x, and this is my y. Okay? So, and this would be x prime, y prime. So we're going to take my original point, and then it's switching the x and the y. So when I go to do this solution for a prime, I'm going to look at a and see here it's 1, 3. Well, if I'm going to reflect it over y equals x, it's just going to switch like that. Okay? And so that's the formula. And again, not something that I expect you to memorize. If we were in person, we would do this by hand. But you can just memorize a formula, or have this formula in your notes because everything is open notes. Okay? I take a look at B. I see it's 4, 1. So if I'm going to reflect over y equals x, I'm just going to switch them. So this would be 1, 4. And then C is 1, 1. I'm going to switch them, but it's going to look the same. And the reason why it's going to look the same is because this point is actually on the line y equals x, right? So if it's on the line, it's just going to stay the same because it is the same, right? That's why we were talking about with the mirror. If you touch the mirror, you're touching your image. They're the same point. Okay? So that's what we did here. We're just practicing using that formula. Okay? All right. If you guys have questions on that first one, just let me know. You can go ahead and ask in chat or turn on your mic. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do a composite, right? We're going to find A, B, C prime, A prime, B prime. Oops, don't know if I put a prime on that B. A prime, B prime, C prime, and A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So the first thing we're going to do is let's find A prime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take point A here, and I'm going to plug it into my translation. Remember, guys, these up here, these are x's and y's. So with a translation, what we're doing is we are taking our points and we're plugging them into the formula. This is every point, so I have 3 points, such that the x you're going to subtract 4 and the y we're going to keep the same. So if I plug in a here, what I'm going to get is I'm going to get 1 minus 4, so that's negative 3. And then I'm going to get 3, and then nothing happens. So that 3 stays the same, right? So all of this is doing is just I'm moving all the points left 4. Okay. So then I'm going to get a B prime. So I'm going to take my B. 4 minus 4 is 0. And then the y stays the same. And then I take C prime. And I'm going to take 1 minus 4, which is negative 3. And then the y stays the same. Okay. So those are my A prime, B prime, and C prime. So again, for translations, you take all of your original points, and then you plug them in to this formula right here. Okay, and again, if you guys have questions, please ask in the chat or turn on your mic. Now I'm going to find my double prime points. So remember, in a composite, right? I'm not going back to my original. I'm going back to the last shape. So I'm going to be using A prime, right? So I'm going to be taking my answer from A and using it for my answer for A double prime. So I'm going to reflect it over the x-axis. Now, I want to be super clear about this. I don't have these formulas memorized, so I'm going to have to go back to our notes from yesterday. So here's our notes from yesterday. So in our notes, it says if I'm reflecting, now what am I reflecting over here? The x-axis. So if I'm reflecting over the x-axis, then I'm going to change the sign of my x. So again, I don't have that memorized. I'm just using my notes from last class. So I'm going to write over here. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have all my points, A, B, such that the x is going to change sign. Okay. So again, it's composite. So I'm going off my prime. So I'm going to take these coordinates and I'm just going to change the sign of the first one. So see how this is -3? Now it's +3. Okay. And then for B prime, 0. Well, there is no such thing as -0, right? 0 is a special number. So that just actually stays the same, right? Because it's actually on the x-axis. And then C prime, see how that's a negative? That's going to become a positive. Okay. And then I'm done. Oops, I did C prime. That's C double prime. All right. So right there, this is 2 examples of doing just a one transformation using an equation. And then this is an example of doing a composite transformation. Again, doing both of these without any graph paper, which is where we're at because we don't have graph paper. Okay. Does anybody have questions about those or comments or stuff like that? I'm noticing a lot of people not turning in homework. And if it's because you're not getting it, I really hope that you guys are asking questions. Okay, because the homework, again, is worth 80% of your grade. So we need to be doing the homework. And if you guys want to do your homework with me, I have office hours every morning. For example, I had office hours right before class today. You guys can just come in and we can do the homework together. Okay, so we got to get the homework done. You guys got to be asking questions if you're lost or confused so I can help you out. And I want to help you out. That's what my job is. You guys see this? Any questions? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I do, out of 33 students, I'm getting 1 person to respond, and I really appreciate that. Okay, but don't let one student speak for yourself, right? You guys have voices. Make sure you guys are heard. All right, so what we're going to be doing today, if you're keeping track in the book, we're at 4.3. We're going to be talking about rotations. Okay, so rotations, right, is what you think. If I have a pen here, a rotation is changing its angle, right? An angle measures how much you rotate. Okay, so that's what a rotation is. We're just going to take shapes and we're going to rotate them, right? So we looked at this triangle last time. So if I rotate this, it looks like this, right? So that's rotating 90 degrees. That's rotating 180 degrees, 270, and then I'm at 360. So remember the angles between the X and Y axis are 90 degrees. So when we do rotations together, we're going to be doing 90-degree rotations or multiples of 90 degree. So this would be 90 degrees. This would be 180 degrees or 90 plus 90. This would be 270, which would be 90 plus 90 plus 90. And then we're not going to do 360 because we're just back to the original, right? That's just you're spinning in circles. Okay. It is important later. So when you get to trigonometry, doing a full circle is important, but not for right now. Okay. So with that said, when we're doing rotations, there's some key parts that we have to talk about. Okay. So there's going to be a center of rotation. Okay. The center of rotation is really important. And you guys have probably done this before. If you've ever held hands with someone and then started going around in circles, or if you have ever been on a swing set and someone like turned you around, it feels really differently if you take all of your limbs and you hold them close to you versus if you stick your limbs out, right? One, you feel like you're going a lot faster. And that has to do with the center of rotation. Or have you guys ever done the thing where like you have all your friends hold hands and then the person in the middle just like does a circle and the person on the outside is going super fast, right? That has to do where the center of rotation is. So for us though, for this year, we're only going to do centers of rotation about the origin. So that is 0, 0. Okay, so we're not going to have to worry about changes in the center of rotation. All of our rotations are going to be about the origin 0, 0. Okay, so for now, everything is going to be about the origin. And that's the only thing we're going to be able to do. Okay. Next, we're going to have the angle of rotation. Okay, and I've already talked about the angle of rotation a little bit, but angles, they describe rotation. So if you're facing forward and then you turn your head, you rotated your head, right? So to look, we rotate our head. And we measure rotations by angles, right? Like how many degrees did I rotate my head? Now for us, to keep things simple, we're only going to focus on 3 different types of rotation. We're going to do 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and 270 degrees. Okay, and these are all multiples of 90s. So this is 190, 290s, and 390s. Okay, then we're going to have the direction of rotation. Okay, so we're going to have direction of rotation. So if I had this pen, I can rotate it clockwise, which is the way that an analog clock goes. Okay, or I can rotate counterclockwise, which is the opposite of what a analog clock goes. Okay, now it's confusing when you have to do both. So because we have limited time, this year we are only going to do counterclockwise. Okay, which is like this. Okay. So, and this is kind of our key. So all of our rotations will be about 0, 0. We're only going to do 90, 180, and 270 degree rotations, and we're only going clockwise. Okay, and you can't say clockwise is to the left because it's only to the left on the top, because on the bottom you're going to the right. So clockwise, counterclockwise is going like this. Okay. All right. So we don't have graph paper. So usually I do a fun little method where we do the claw, grah, to rotate, but we can't do that because we don't have graph paper. So for this year, I feel like a salesman. If you act now, okay, for this year only, we're going to use formulas. Okay. Now, I really hate formulas, okay? Because one, these formulas only work for these situations, okay? So they only work for the above conditions. Sorry, conditions turned into cursive there. So it only works for the above conditions. That is, it only works if we're rotating about the origin. It only works if we're doing 90, 180, and 270, and it only works if we're going counterclockwise. Okay? Now you're like, wait, most things in life don't always go counterclockwise and at 90-degree angles. I agree with you. But because we only have a limited amount of time and no graph paper, we're really getting focused on just some basics. Okay, so we're going to start with these rotation formulas. Okay, so our rotation formulas, so I really wanted to note, right? So this is about 0, 0. And counterclockwise. Oops. Okay, and I want you guys to know I'm dying a little bit on the inside because I'm not really teaching you anything. I'm just showing you how a formula works, and that makes me really sad. But it's the only way we can do this. Okay? So there's going to be 3 different types of rotations. So the first one is going to be 90 degrees. Okay, so that is, you have a point AB, and it's going to turn out to be negative B, A. Okay, and guys, this is so unsatisfying because it's just like, you're just writing down a formula, and I'm really sorry about that. And we're not going to have really time to do anything with it. So 180 is AB, such that we're going to have negative A, negative B. Now this one actually makes a little sense. So if you're walking down the hallway and you turn 180, aren't you going the opposite direction? So think about that, opposite direction. So I'm going forward, I turn 180 degrees, now I'm going backwards. So take a look, what's the opposite of AB? Negative A, negative B. So this one actually makes sense. Okay, this one is, it's logical, like we can talk about it and be like, oh yeah, 180 degrees. It's just going to be opposite of what it was before. Okay, and then we have 270 degrees. So that's every point AB, such that, and then we're going to have, and I'm looking these up, guys, because I don't memorize these. I want to be super clear. This is not how I do rotations. It's just how we are going to have to do rotations this year. Okay, so I have B and then minus A. Okay, so that's it. These are your equations. Okay, now remember, this is only true for when it's about 0, 0 and when it's counterclockwise. So we can't rotate around anything that's not 0, 0, and we can't do anything that's not counterclockwise. Okay, fortunately for you guys, that's what your homework should be. Okay, so just another reminder, I just remembered in your homework, this right here, you have to remember this is called the origin. So in your homework, it might say rotate 90 degrees about the origin. Okay, and the origin is 0, 0. So don't let that throw you off. If it says rotate 90 degrees, it's going to be about 0, 0 and counterclockwise. Okay, we're just going to make that assumption with everything we do. Okay, so we're going to practice some of these rotation formulas, and then we're going to put it all together with some composition, where we're doing a reflection and a rotation, or a rotation and a translation, and doing them all together. Okay, and that's what we're going to focus on today. All right, does anybody have any questions? Again, I know this is really unsatisfying. I'm really sad because this isn't really teaching. I'm just showing you a formula. Okay. So let's go ahead then and practice this. So have this in your notes, and then let's practice using it. So the first one we're going to do, so let's call this example, oops, am I on there? Example 1. Okay. We're going to have we're going to have a quadrilateral, so that's 4 points. So I'm going to have R is 3, 1. S is 5, 1. T is going to be 5, negative 3. And U is going to be 2, negative 1. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate RSTU. We're going to rotate this 270 degrees about the origin. Now, notice how it doesn't have a direction. That's because we're assuming everything is counterclockwise, okay? So that's why I started out with that, okay? And in fact, it's silly that the book doesn't just assume the origin already, because it might as well, okay? So we're going to rotate 270 degrees about the origin. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look up that equation. So the equation is going to be, for 270, I take all my points A, B, and they become B negative A. So what I'm gonna have you guys do, I just want you guys to try this on your own first. So you're gonna find R prime, S prime, T prime, not T-pain, right? T prime, and U prime. Okay, so go ahead and take a little bit and fill those in, right, using that formula. Here, I can put up a timer. So you don't, no subtraction. It just means that negative just means opposite. So it's the opposite of A. So what's the opposite of 3? There you go. I'm glad you did. Glad you did. Just me, yep. Well, it always means just opposite. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, hey guys, I'm going to go through and fill these out now. So, like we were just discussing, you switch the numbers, and then the second one, the original A changes sign, right? So, for S, I'm going to have 1 and then -5. For T, I'm going to have -3, -5. And for U, I'm going to have -1, -2. Okay, and that's my answer. Okay, now in this case, all of my x's started out positive, and then they were switched to a negative for my y. Just remember, the opposite of a negative is a positive. Okay, so the opposite of a negative is a positive. Does anybody else have questions about this? Anything that we want to ask or clarify? Okay, so if no one speaks up, I'm just going to move on. So make sure, if you guys are confused or if you have questions, now's the time to ask. All right, just checking chat. All right, so since everyone is getting what we're doing, then we're going to pick up the difficulty a little bit. And to pick up the difficulty a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to do multiple transformations. So we're going to do composite transformations. Okay, so we're going to do composite transformations. And remember, composite means more than one. Okay, so composite means more than one. So we're going to go here and we're going to do, what we're going to have is I'm going to give you, let's just do a segment because it's quicker to do. So let's say I have a segment AB where A is 1, -3, and B is 2, -6. Okay. And then what we're going to do, because it's a composite transformation, we're going to do two transformations. So we're going to reflect over the y-axis, and then B, we're going to rotate 90 degrees. And I'm going to write it how the book writes it because I want you guys to see, right, this is what's going to show up in your homework. So it's kind of silly that they say about the origin because all of ours are going to be about the origin. Okay? So I'm going to have you guys try this on your own. I'm going to set you up just a little bit, right? So you should get an A prime and a B prime. And then you should get an A double prime and a B double prime. Okay, so I want you guys to try this out. You're going to have to use your notes to find the formulas, right? So you might have to take a little bit of time to look at the formulas and then fill those out. Okay, so here's a minute 30. Let's give that a try. Oh, sorry. I was talking to people in chat and I lost track of time. So sorry about that. So let's take a look at this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look up the equations for these things. Okay. So the first one, and I have my notes here, right? So the first one is a reflection over the y-axis. So this is from our notes last class. And it says, so I'm going to write this down. If I take my points A, B, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have A negative B. So it looks like A and B stay the same, but the sign changes on B. So that's going to be the first thing I do. And then the next one is rotation 90 degrees. So, and that's from our notes today. So from our notes today, I know I'm going to take AB and I'm going to rotate, what is this going to be? Negative BA. Okay, so those are my two equations. And again, we should be taking good notes because all our homework, all our tests, everything is all open notes, right? So make sure you have this in a place in your notes. Okay, so doing this, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my original point and I'm going to make the y the opposite sign. So if I take a look at A, the x is staying the same, but now I'm going to take the opposite sign. So the opposite of negative is positive. And then I keep the x, and then the opposite of negative is positive. So boom, there I go. I got my reflection over the y-axis. Okay, so now in your homework, you're probably going to have to plot these points afterwards, right? Okay, and some of you guys saw that in your homework that was due today, right? Where you had to plot both shapes. Okay, now again, if you guys are struggling with plotting shapes, come to my office hours and I'll help you out. Okay, I'll help you plot them because I don't want you to get stuck on that, right? Don't let the software get you down. I'm here to help. So please, if you're struggling with plotting these, come to my office hours. I'll help you out. Okay, so now remember when we do a composite, they build on each other. So I'm not going to go back to these red, right? The red was used to get the black, and now the black is going to be used to get the blue. Okay, so I'm going to take these black numbers and I'm going to say, okay, those are originally A, B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch them and I'm going to change the sign of the B. So my B for A prime is 3. So now I'm going to take the opposite of that and put it in front. And then I'm going to take my A term and put it in the back. And I'm just going to double check. Is that what I did? I put the A second, and then I put the opposite of the B term first. Okay. Then I go to B prime. Okay, so I'm going to put the A term in the Y position. And then I'm going to put the B term in the front, but I'm going to change the sign. Okay, so this right here, this is my end shape. So after doing 2 transformations, that's where I'm going to end up. Okay, and see how important it is to get that middle one, because if you don't get that middle one, you're not going to be able to get your last one. Wow, guys, that was it. This is it. This is putting everything we've learned in the past a week and a half, and we're doing it in one problem. Are you guys doing okay with this? I know there's quite a few people that are still trying to get their homeworks in. So by not getting your homework in, I can't tell if you guys are doing okay with this or not. So what do you guys think? Was this okay? Are you guys getting lost? Are you getting confused? What can I do to help? So I have 33 students, so I should be overwhelmed with feedback right now. I should have 33 responses. Okay, now I want to say 2 things. One, I am really happy that the people who are responding are like, I get it. Okay, but what I'm really worried about is that you guys are also, there's a lot of you guys who are either too shy to type anything. And remember, if you send me a direct message in chat, only I see it, and I'm never going to call out your name. Okay, but we have to make sure, and I appreciate that remark. Thank you. And I want to know how you got that thumbs up. That was excellent. But I also worry because I want everyone to get this. So if you're like, man, I'm completely lost, please say something because I can help you. Okay. All right, so we're gonna try one more and see where you guys are. So we'll do one more here. So this is our 3rd example. I'm gonna give you guys less scaffolding here. We're gonna kind of just do it. Okay. So let's start out. Let's do a triangle. So let's say I have triangle TRY. Oh, I should do capital letters. TRY, because everyone's going to try this problem. Is that good? You guys like that? So you guys are going to try this. So triangle try, where T, I'm just going to make up random numbers. -3, 2, and then R is going to be 0, 4, and then Y is going to be 2, -3. Okay, so get those down. And this is going to be a composite as well. So in this composite, what I'm going to have you guys do is you're going to rotate 180 degrees about the origin. And again, I'm just writing it like you're going to see in your homework. All of these are going to be about the origin. Okay, and then B, you're going to reflect over the y-axis, and wait, hold on to your seats. C, we're going to take every point xy such that we're going to have x minus 2 and y plus 3. Okay, so how many transformations do we have here? We have 3. So I want to see how you guys do. Okay, I'm going to give you plenty of time to do this. Let's do 2 minutes. Let's do 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. This is it. Think of this as a mini assessment. If we can do this, right? This has every transformation we've done, or an example of every transformation we've done. If you can do this, you are doing really good. If you make mistakes, totally okay, because mistakes are how we learn. So hopefully you guys make some good mistakes here so we can ask questions and get help. So here we go. So 0 is the special number. There is no opposite of 0. It's just 0. Really quickly in chat, can you guys just tell me, do you want more time? Yes or no? And you can send it as a private message. Do you want a little bit more time? Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more time. Yep. Thank you guys, and that's why we need feedback. Here, let's do another minute 30. Some of you are already done. Just relax for a second. So you're breaking up a little bit. It's a formula, and that we learned from last class. Okay, well I'm going to go over all of this now. Okay, let's go over it together. Let's do this together. So what I'm going to do for this next one, I'm going to call this prime, right? Because it's our first transformation. So I'm going to do t prime. Okay. So when I do t prime, so this says rotate 180 degrees. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to use the equation that we have gotten today in our class, which says if I have every point AB, that 180 degrees is going to be the opposite of what I had before. And this is the only one that I remember, because if you're walking down the hallway and you turn 180 degrees, you're now going in the opposite direction. So it's just the opposite. So my t prime is going to be the opposite of -3 is 3. The opposite of 2 is -2. And then I'm going to have r prime. The opposite of 0 is 0. The opposite of 4 is -4. And then the opposite of y is going to be -2, +3. Okay, so for this one, I took the red, I took it to the black, and all I'm doing here is I'm just taking everything I had before and making it the opposite. So negatives become positives, and positives become negatives. Okay, and at any point as if I'm going over this, if you guys have questions, just stop me, just interrupt me. Okay, so now for this next one, I'm going to take this black one, these black points, and I'm going to go to blue. So this is my second transformation, so I'm going to call this t double prime. Okay. Now this one says reflect over the y-axis. So if I go to my notes from yesterday, so here's my notes from yesterday. So if I'm reflecting over the y-axis, so I know if I start with AB, then I'm going to have A negative B. So over here, I'm going to say, okay, so for this one, I'm going to have, if I start out with AB, I'm going to go to A negative B. Okay, so that's my formula from yesterday. So let's take a look. So getting these blue numbers, I'm going to look at the black numbers. So it looks like A stays the same, right? A stays the same, but then B changes sign. So now this is 3 +2. And then R prime, the A stays the same, the B changes sign. And then I have Y prime, the A stays the same, the 3 changes sign. Okay, and that's what this is, right? The A stayed the same, the B changed the sign. All right, and then for our last one, I ran out of, hey, I'm glad you're here, and I'm sorry that your Wi-Fi is having troubles. For the last one, I don't have another color, so I'm just going to go red again. And this one's going to be t triple prime. Okay, so now we're triple prime because this is the third thing we've done. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're doing here. So I'm going to take these blue, oops, I meant to go, this is blue. There we go. That looks better, right? So I'm going to take these blue points and I'm going to put them through this formula. So I don't need to write down a formula. Translations already give it. So I'm going to take, right? And so you just have to remember, this is my x, this is my y, this is my x, this is my y, this is my x, this is my y. So I'm going to take this x and y and I'm going to plug them in here. So what I get is, I'm going to get my x is 3. So 3 minus 2 is 1. And then 2 is my y, so 2 plus 3 is 5. Then I'm going to have r, oops. I think someone called me out in chat and I didn't know what they were saying. Yeah, these are supposed to be double prime. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. T double prime, R double prime, Y double prime. Thank you for calling me out. And thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. You got my back. I appreciate that. So this is going to be R triple prime. I'm being extra careful now. So I'm going to take R double prime. So my x is 0. So 0 minus 2 is -2. And then my y is 4. So 4 plus 3 is 7. And then I'm going to have my y triple prime. So then I'm going to have -2 minus 2. So I'm at -4. And then I have -3 plus 3. So I'm going to be at 0. So this is my final resting place of my triangle TRY. Okay? And how are you guys feeling with that? Did I do anything that was confusing, or did you guys get lost? Do you guys have questions? Maybe, why did I flip them? For which step? For the red or black, blue, or red? So for this last one, so I'm not flipping anything. All I'm doing is I'm taking these points and I'm plugging it into this equation. So for t, for example, my x was 3. So I'm going to replace this x with 3. So I get 3 minus 2. So I get 1. And then the y here is 2. So I go 2 plus 3. So I get 5. Does that help out? Does that make sense how I'm taking these points and plugging them into here? Okay. All right. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. So we only have 3 minutes left together. So a couple people came back in late. So I really want to stress something before we leave today. These are our formulas, right? So these are our formulas. And I know a couple of you are having Wi-Fi issues. If you miss this the first down, get this down quickly. I'm going to leave this up between now and the end of class so you guys can get this down. These are our rotation equations. And we're always going to be rotating about the origin and counterclockwise, okay? So these only work if we're going about the origin and counterclockwise. And they only work if we're doing multiples of 90s. And you guys can imagine there's all sorts of rotations that aren't multiples of 90s. And we don't have to go counterclockwise always in real life. And we're not always about 0, 0 in real life. So this is just an intro to rotations, okay? So with that said, with my last 2 minutes, I just really want to stress, there's a portion of this class that has not turned in homework. Your homework is worth 80% of your grade. If you guys, that's all. So to pass, that's really, you could just do all your homework, okay? Now, remember, there's no penalty for late work. And if you turned in an assignment and you don't like your grade, email me, say what period you're in and what assignment you want to redo. I will unsubmit it and you can work on that assignment again. And remember, with these assignments, you have unlimited guesses, right? You can guess, and then it will tell you if you got it right or wrong. So please use that. Now, if you're getting frustrated or you're like, I don't even know where to start, please come visit me in my office hours. I have office hours Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday in the morning. Please come see me. We can do the homework together, okay? No one should fail this class, right? Because we just got to do the work, and I'm willing to do the work with you. So please, please, please do the work. If you need help, just ask, and I'm here for you, okay? So with that said, I will see you guys again next Tuesday. There's going to be a homework assignment on reflections on big ideas. Make sure you do that. And if you have questions over the weekend, make sure you send me an email. I have office hours. I have 2 office hours before this is due. I have office hours Monday morning and Tuesday morning before class. So you guys can get help. There's 2 opportunities to get help before class. Okay? Okay, so with that said, happy Friday, everybody. I hope that you have a great day and a great weekend.